You need to be yourself, but you need to be kind and believe in yourself. And believe in others as well, because, if you're generous to other people, that comes back. So, as they say, confident people don't feel the need to bring other people down. And I think that's another lesson for another day. But there's the belief in oneself, being kind to oneself and being generous to those around you. I am Karen Martin and I'm the CEO of BBH, which is a communications agency based in London with offices in Dublin, New York, LA, Singapore, India, and Shanghai. I just look after the UK and Irish office. So that's essentially what I do. I've been here 7 years. I've been CEO for 3 years. So I did other roles before I came up to this. And essentially, my role is to lead the strategic direction of the organization, to make sure our commercial and our creative output is up to scratch, because we make creative work. So that has to be great when it goes out there in the market. I work very closely with clients to understand their business objectives, to make sure that creativity and strategic advice can solve them. And more importantly, to look after the people and the culture of this business, because it's a creative business and we need lots and lots of different people and different minds putting that together. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. So I grew up in Dublin, Ireland. I can never say I really ever knew what I wanted to do when I was 15, 16, 17. I actually thought I wanted to be an actress, but then I realized that, I probably didn't have the balls to do it actually, or to put myself out there. So I did always love advertising. Actually, I didn't really know what it was, but I loved ads. And funnily enough, one of the ads, which was huge at the time of me growing up, was the Nick Cayman Levi's ad, which your audience won't remember, but it was cool. And it made me want to work in advertising. And actually this agency I'm in did that ad. So there's a beautiful Circl moment in there. And so I guess I was deciding to go to college or not go to college. I didn't really know. I don't have a family that push academia. They push happiness, which was nice. But essentially I hadn't a clue. And thankfully my sister sat with me and went through, in Ireland, we have the CAO forms, which is where they list every single college application under the sun in Ireland. I was like literally reading out everything going, would you do that? Would you do that? And I was like, no. And then this thing called marketing came up and I went, that sounds really good. And that marketing could lead in communications and consumer behavior. And I was like, right, that's fascinating. That's really interesting. So that's what I selected to do, did my leaving cert. Didn't do that well, to be honest, but miraculously got into this, and that's what I did. And then I understood a little bit more and more, and then found myself in the world of advertising, which was based in Dublin at the time, and I was really underprepared. I kind of, sometimes your university education and real life do not match up, and you've got all this life learning and fun learning from your university days, and then you go in and you work in an office and you go, oh Jesus, I haven't a clue, and with very established people around you. So I think through that, the confidence knocks, am I good enough? Do I know what I'm doing? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Do I enjoy it? Like, it never stops. And to be honest, even waking up this morning, I probably still have the same things. I don't believe that it does. And for me, it wasn't this is what I want to do. I knew I loved advertising, but I didn't even know it was a career. I didn't know that you could work in it. I'm quite fascinated now. We do a lot of work with design students and even school students who still don't really know that this is a career, which means our industry needs to do a little bit more, because we need lots of different thinkers to make it as good as it is. Because I worked in Dublin for 2 years and then I went to Australia for 14 years, actually lived there. And that was like the leaving home and going so far away and not knowing anybody. And, it's a kind of, you kind of have to fight, you've got to, because you don't know anyone and you don't have the, the familiarity of everything around you. So that's quite a big moment. And I don't know if you talk about travel. I am working in other countries. I strongly recommend it, because your vulnerabilities are all exposed there. And if you're somebody who maybe have had slightly more privilege than others, once you go somewhere else, they're gone, because that's not the, the environment you grew up in. This is something very new. And you find out a lot about yourself, because you have to survive. And, you have to work hard, and you want your career to go well, because, but you need the money because you don't have anyone to rely on, and you have, all of that kind of stuff. And it's brilliant. But, it's very exposing as well. And in this industry, communications, obviously, it's good if you're a good communicator. And there's two things in that. One is to not be afraid to listen. The sense of having to come in and talk all the time, not always the right thing, because they say, you've two ears and one mouth. So it's good to listen, and take it all in. And there's nothing wrong with being quiet in a meeting at all. But it's also important within that you have your point of view and you get that across. And I use an example of, I was working on a beer brand in Australia. And I was 25, so I was their target customer by a long stretch. And I was the youngest, most junior people in a room of very senior advertising people and the client and research and all this stuff. And they were talking about essentially me, like, and what I was doing and my life and my friends. And I was sitting there going, you're all wrong to start with, because that's not how we think and that's not what we do. And, and that was my real battle in that meeting of kind of going, no, I'm so junior, I shouldn't really speak. And yet there I was being discussed in plain sight. And I had that real moment of, do I say something and say something really silly and feel really stupid for the rest of the meeting and then like hang my head in shame? And I thought, I just said it, I was actually speaking for your audience. I would like to comment on a couple of things. And it suddenly just changed the whole, yes, please. And that was finding my voice in a moment where I knew I could be strong. And I think that was a big turning point for me to go, I do know what I'm talking about. And I do have a point of view in this. And I do think this. And arguably, I'm more qualified to talk about it than, the 15 people in this room. And for the audience, it's like, you will know more things than other people do. And you will have a point of view in them. Don't hold back. Don't hold back. Because if anything, it's another perspective. And we always have to have difference. You always have to have different points of view. And I think in the world now, people have gone on either sides of it and no one wants to be in the middle and it's extremes everywhere. But unfortunately, nobody's listening to the other perspective. So there's a real need to listen. And for anyone who really feels strongly or has a point of view on something, say it. Absolutely say it, because it will be invaluable to somebody else around you. You don't think it is, but I can guarantee you that it will be. Believe in yourself. And I really think that's important. Now, if I had told myself that at 19, would I have believed it? I don't know. To be honest, but I wish I had more confidence in myself earlier on. I really do, because I think I gave myself a hard time, actually, and probably still do. And that might never go away, because that's probably part of who I am. But I wish I believed in myself more. And that wasn't to become, so you have to be authentic and you have to be true to you, me in the office and me at home, me anywhere, the same person, so I would have been a terrible actress. But I think you need to be yourself, but you need to be kind and believe in yourself. And believe in others as well, because that generosity is, if you're generous to other people, that comes back. So, as they say, confident people don't feel the need to bring other people down. And I think that's another lesson for another day. But there's the belief in oneself, being kind to oneself and being generous to those around you. And as I came back, I know this is a few, but also the finding your voice in all of that. Whatever, you will have something good to say. You will have a belief in something that others should want to hear. And there's probably 3 or 4 pieces of advice in that, but that's what I tell myself now.